No one sat down and figured out a judicial system solely for those islands as against an imitation of a judicial system of England. You had the right to do it. You had the responsibility to do it. There was no law against you doing it. Why didn't you do it? It's a form of intellectual retardation that hits every people on earth who are oppressed. Now, when we come to the United States, when we had the greatest technical opportunity, why didn't we, 25 years before independence, call attention to the fact that if you're going to have an independent states, you need people who manage mines, airports, hospitals. Why shouldn't we have quietly put people in schools to learn all of those skills? And the minute Africa is free, we form a partnership with the Africans so the Africans wouldn't have to be dependent on the Europeans. Why shouldn't we think of something as elementary as that? Is any non-Japanese building Japan? Because the Japanese sent his children to the schools of the world to learn all those skills and bring them home. Anybody build his airplane? Anybody building his ships? He's doing it himself. When you have to call your former master back to do basic things for you, you are not free. You have re-enslaved yourself or recolonized yourself. We spend too much time celebrating, too much time with our fists in the air, too much time talking about black power without having any of it. Alton Madigan said the civil rights movement was a consumer rights movement. That indeed it was. We fight to consume somebody else's hamburger, make hotels rich we have enough conferences. All the conferences black organizations have each year, we could build at least 10 major hotels at once. And not only, we can employ each other. But all the empty land not doing anything, we could have a series of farms scattered all every state, raising our own food. Be much better if we stop eating out the can all the time. We know what come out of the ground. Got a brother putting it in the ground, brother taking it out, brother putting it on the truck. Look how many people you are employing. And what did we lose everywhere? The concept of nation responsibility. This is what has been taken away from us these 500 years. This is the supreme tragedy on our mind in the world Christopher Columbus did not discover. Programming our mind to convince us that we could not even make a safety pin. If you can't make a safety pin, you can't make a locomotive. We have to tabulate how many years we're going to be dependent on other people for basic survival. That bargaining chip sooner or later will be, I will close off your community and let nothing comes in. Then what are you going to do? You not hadn't learned to make a gun, you hadn't even learned how to fix one. All these veterans coming out of the army, with all this skill, have you learned how to marshal that skill? Have you learned how to tap that skill? They could have gone to Africa and built some of the finest modern armies in the world. I have often said that the black man properly equipped, properly inspired, properly led is the greatest human fighting machine the world has ever known. But our skill always going fighting for other people. Now let's go to Africa itself. The Africans educated in Africa with African money, scattered all over the world. They want to be everything but Africans. They've turned Africa over to a bunch of thugs. Coup after coup after coup. Who's going to give Africa the stability that it needs? I maintain, and this might be away from the subject now, I maintain that there is no solution for African people except some form of Pan-African nationalism. No matter how you cut it, no matter what island you're from, no matter what state you're from, no matter what religion you belong to, we must develop a concept of Pan-African nationalism that cuts across all religious, political, social, fraternity, sorority lines and makes us one people, facing the world as one people and proud of it. We must stop apologizing and stop imitating and begin to innovate. For people to be free, they have to produce one sacrificial generation. And that generation must be the role model for other generations to come. Maybe a generation have to wear dungarees so that another generation can wear a tuxedo. We have not considered that. We have to seriously step back and think of what we need to do and how do we liberate ourselves from the plagues, the cultural famines, the misconceptions set in motion by the rise of Europe in the Christopher Columbus period of the 15th and the 16th century. How do we be a whole people again? I think we should begin by finding a mirror and liking what we see. If we can't like what we see, then we can't make each other whole again. It can't be just ceremony. We can't decorate the outside of the head forever without putting something inside of the head. There can't be we can't have war between men and women, because no people can be free if one half of the mind of the people is tied up in conflict. It's going to have to be both of us or none of us. We're going to have to find some unity that stretches across island lines, culture lines, accent lines, and national lines. We're hung up with so many offbeat religions, none of which we created. We're cutting each other to pieces, deserting each other, destroying each other based on ideologies of no consequence to us as a people. I remember, and I'm going to end with this, as a little boy on the farm, I'm churning. You churn until the butter comes to the top. And I'm counting the churns. And I asked my old grandmother, my great-grandmother, Grandma, which one of the churns brings up the butter? She says, all of them, my son. Well, which one? There's no one. All of them. We have to realize that it is not the effort of any one of us that will lead to freedom, but the collective work of all of us who are sincere that will ultimately end in the freedom and the liberation of our own people and the indoctrination of our children, so that they in turn will pick up the responsibility and create an age where you never have to call for freedom again, because there'll never be any need to call for it, because from that day forward, we'll always have it. Thank you. Hammond faced some economic devastation, but faced freedom along with it. I mean, who's running the mine? Who's going down in the mines now? Who's facing the danger now? African people are facing it. Then let the African supervise. He's been supervising anyway.
Dr. Clarke, I agree with you 100%.
But look, South Africa has some of the best developed agriculture in all Africa. They can still eat. I mean, I just don't maintain that white people are